Meriden.
All right. So you continue to be reckless. The city council continues to be reckless with the taxpayer money. You are not attaching a dollar amount to this resolution. You're making appropriations. You're not even attaching a dollar amount. You're not even attaching a maximum. It's ridiculous. The council continues to misinterpret the city charter, but at whose advice? This, with respect to this particular lawsuit, I think this council is way out of control. And you will be reined in. Councilor Scarpati.
Thank you, Your Honor. It was stated earlier, I believe by Ms. Dunlop, that someone stated at the last meeting that we look like children. Ms. Dunlop, I apologize yet again for this governing body looking like children as we sit around discussing yet another appeal, yet another lawsuit that I'm just absolutely sick of. I don't want to face yet another appeal or cross appeal or lawsuit assembling this same issue a few months down the road. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned that there is no allocated dollar amount to set aside for this appeal. I also would say that there is no dollar amount claimed by the plaintiffs asking for their costs to be paid, which I truly feel will end up being paid by the taxpayers. I will not sit by and allow them to appeal a ruling that the judge already said the city will not be liable to pay for their attorney's fees. I'm not going to sit back and then allow them to cross appeal that and then have the opportunity come down to the city council and say, well, they appealed the judge's ruling. City council sat by, did absolutely nothing to fight that cross appeal. Now, God forbid that the judge may rule in their favor, you now have to pay their attorney's fees of X amount. They didn't put in any dollar amount. I wouldn't be in favor of just sitting back, not fighting that. Mr. Mayor, I don't believe you can honestly tell me, or anyone in these chambers at all, that we would be faced with additional fees, with an additional resolution to provide counsel if there was not a cross appeal. If there was no cross appeal filed by the plaintiffs, our hands would be washed. We would be done with this issue. We would move on. Attorney Quinn would provide his own counsel. We would have no additional fees accrued to the city. Yet there's a cross appeal by the plaintiffs, which is now holding us liable for possibly their attorney's fees, and who knows whatever else might come down the road. I am done with these appeals. I'm done with these lawsuits. I want to put this aside. We have much bigger things on the horizon that we need to worry about as a council. We are the governing body of the city of Meriden. The citizens of Meriden don't want to hear us sit by and talk about lawsuits at every single meeting. It's ridiculous. We need to talk about economic development. We need to talk about what's going to stimulate our economy, what's going to create jobs, what's going to revitalize downtown, what's going to bring in business, not what's going to be next on a lawsuit, what's going to be appealed down the road. Let's put this aside. We could have already been done with this, but because of the plaintiffs, we're not. Therefore, I will support this resolution and be done with this.
Actually, this resolution, and the only reason this is continuing on this floor is because of this resolution. Exactly. This would have never come up on this floor in front of this council if this resolution wasn't put forward. And you're supporting it. I agree. So you're promoting this. It's not that if the plaintiffs had not filed a cross appeal, we wouldn't have been in this situation. That's not true. The fact that there's a resolution in front of us is why we're involved in this.
If I can respond, Your Honor?
No, I'm not done yet. The fact that some of you refuse to understand the concept of division of decision by a court, let me explain. The decision was split. The judge made a accurate and very specific decision on the validity, the legality of whether the mayor makes recommendations to the council for a corporation council. That is one part of it. The other part of it, he split as far as recouping the expenses incurred by the plaintiffs, as well as his back pay, I believe. So the decision on whether I'm able to make the recommendation for corporation council has already been decided by the courts, and he appealed it. He disagreed with it. It has nothing to do with this council, though. The city was not named. The city, if you don't do anything right now, if you don't support this resolution, the city is not on the hook. Attorney Quinn is. At some point, if Attorney Quinn loses his appeal and is either out of money or he needs to recoup money, can he turn around and then sue the city? That I don't know. But that's a different question. And we're not there yet. And if you need to appropriate funds for that point, then do it at that point if it becomes necessary. But don't do it right now just because you think additional city expenses are going to occur in the future. We're talking about city money now that is going to be spent on an appeal carried forward by Attorney Quinn.
If I can respond, Your Honor?
No one else? Councilor Scarpati.
Thank you. Your Honor, I didn't argue with your veto. If you remember, I was your fifth vote. I sided with you 100% and agreed. Judge Fisher found that you had the right to appoint corporation counsel. I said, you know what? The judge ruled. Who am I to fight the judge? Yet now we have the plaintiffs fighting the judge on other instances. I'd like to ask you a question, Mr. Mayor. Do you honestly think this resolution would be in front of us today if there wasn't a cross appeal?
The cross appeal has nothing to do with this council. Has nothing to do with the city. It has to do with the Quinn's position as corporation counsel.
Mr. Mayor,
okay.
Would this resolution be in front of us tonight if
I
there
just
wasn't a cross?
answered you, and I'm not going to be any clearer than that. Thank you. And again, you're refusing to accept one particular aspect. The judge ruled on the letter of the law of the charter. That has to do with whether I can recommend someone to a corporation council. The other part, which has to do with recouping expenses, legal expenses, and having Attorney Quinn give up his pay since December 2nd, that's something else. That has nothing to do with the interpretation, the letter of the law of the charter.